Cool. You can tell I'm a costume technician. That was a lot of technical difficulties
We did
for
it.
myself.
We did it. Let me just click out of this window. I had to find the link. And now that I found it, the window goes away. Hello, we're back.
Me with all my classes on Zoom. The most rewarding thing about Zoom University is when you finish something really hard and then you get to exit out of everything.
Yeah.
You have like 50 tabs open.
Oh, is that right? I'm sure. It makes perfect sense. My least favorite part of doing any Zoom of like, there's like a big class or I teach, like I'll do like a Q&A with like 40 people in it or something like that, or even bigger, whatever, some kind of panel, is when you're done. And then you're like, bye, everybody. This has been great. And then you click off and then you realize that you're alone. It is the most surreal feeling. Cause it's like, you're really in here. Like, there are moments where I forget that this is a Zoom and we're not in the same, I have little moments where you just sort of, you're in the middle of conversation. So I'm not thinking any more globally than that. And then you click off and you're like, you're just sort of sitting there like, oh my God, wait, I've been alone this whole time.
I feel that.
Yeah.
So random question, but I feel like you'd know the answer just because I need to know from a prop point of view.
Let's do it.
When Adam has the piece of metal shutting his mouth up, right?
Yes.
Is that double-sided tape or is that like he's biting down on something? What is it?
It's basically a baby binky. That
I
he
love
sort of
that.
he sort of palms in the scene, and then he can bing, and then he hits it in his mouth. So it's like foam. It's like the whole thing is made of like some kind of soft thing, so he's able to sort of slam it into his mouth. And so the sound effect really does a lot of the heavy lifting. So it's amazing how much a sound effect can really sell something. Because if you really look at the thing up close, it's like there's no way. I mean, it's like. But theater magic and the storytelling all really does the heavy lifting. But yeah, it's a foam metal, plate, and then in it, it's like it's sticking out. It's sort of like I think it actually was like a pacifier looking thing.
Prop masters are the weirdest people when they look at shit. They're like, this will make the thing.
It's kind of amazing watching people like that do the work. I'm always fascinated by that. Like when, especially when, speaking of what you do, like, the designers come up to the stage. And they look and they have they look at the dress and they go, and they go back to their table and you're like, what was that? Wait, what was that? What are you doing? What are we gonna, what?
I mean, I used to be a prop master too. And like when my school did Little Shop, I was costumes, plants, props. That was my thing. Because I needed to give someone the biggest middle finger ever. And the only way to do that is to hijack their entire show.
Like your whole career is currently out of spite. I hope that changes for you.
It's not out of spite. It's more out of I love what I do now, but God, what got me in was pure ass spite.
as long as you're able to jettison some of that as you go, I think that getting in for spite is great. Look, doing anything for spite is fun.
But like I was sitting at lunch one day and I would bring like these little sodas, like the little soda cans like this big. And I was like, we don't have an inhaler for Oren yet. And I don't think we're getting one. Because it's my job to find shit. So I was like, Oren would have this if I make it blue and say nitrous oxide.
Nice.
So literally turning garbage into a useful thing.
That's what it looks like when you do it. I mean, that's what, when I was watching, his name's Austin, who's our prop master. And also Pete, his name's Pete Seraphin, who is the prop designer. Watch, because he did Big Fish, and I think he did School of Rock and Beetlejuice. I've known him for like a while. Watching him do that stuff is what it looks like. He literally looks like his whole table is like just a bunch of shit, and he just goes like, and you just watch him, and all of a sudden there's like the handbook for the recently deceased, and it's like made of foam so it can drop, and then there's another one that's like a little more rigid so it can open, and there's a light inside of it. It's like there's the amount of things that you watch somebody make because of what you need for each specific little moment is crazy. I don't think I have enough attention to detail to even make that a job.
It takes a lot of attention to detail. It also takes a lot of patience and with ability to withstand hot glue burns.
Yes, I've seen that again. Again, the thing that is the same across all boards is at every single prop table there is a very heated up, ready to go hot glue gun. Never changes. The smell of hot glue. I'm very, very aware of it.
Does not. I have made my old theater teacher while I was working on Little Shop. You'll think it's funny. I made him think I burnt the theater down or like had started a fire in the theater because I was using epoxy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like the epoxy that comes in a syringe, and he comes and he's like, "What is burning?" I'm like, "It's just, sir, it's the syringe."
Yeah, sorry about that. That's cool. I mean, I do like the props in anything. I love the best prop story, you know, in Beetlejuice is when I crossed the third leg, you know, in the show, like it's like across one and then I cross another one. You're like, where did that leg come from? And that came out of a rehearsal. I just thought it would be funny and I suggested it. I sort of mimicked it. Like I mocked it up just out of nowhere. Like I didn't ask anybody. I just was like, that would be kind of funny. So I did my hand like it, and it got a huge laugh in the room. And the next day, Pete Seraphin came up to me and he was like, "We doing that? You want to try it with a leg?" And I said, "Yeah." And so he found a way to sort of jerry rig this mannequin leg, basically, which looked terrible in the rehearsal room. But
everything looks bad in the rehearsal room.
But it had to, because it wasn't the final thing. But it was like he wanted to get me as soon as possible. Let's just see if this actually has any weight, and let's see if it works. Because then, you know, we're not far away from opening a show at that point. So it's like he has to go and build one and get money to do it. And the costume department has to create another pant leg. They have to make another Beetlejuice pant leg. Like it's not his department.
I mean, in theory, you could go steal one of the other Beetlejuice's leg pants for a scene.
No, you can't. Because they're using it. So they're not. They had to literally, I mean, like it's a whole collaborative thing for one little joke.
And if I remember correct, all the fabric for your suit specifically is either hand painted or handmade.
Yeah, originally. So the original suit that I wore for I think for the workshop and maybe even during previews was every single stripe was its own piece of fabric, basically. Which was remarkable. And you look close at it, it's like the most beautiful, intricate, like some of the stripes had little wispy things hanging off of it, but you would never see that even from the front row. So all it did for me was just make me feel like way more in the character and things like that. But because of all that, it was incredibly heavy and it didn't have a ton of give. And I had all the stuff I was doing, I would rip the pants and the suit more times than it needed to be because it was so persnickety. So what they did was they took the design, they took the actual separate threads, scanned it, made a fabric that looked like it, and basically printed it onto a fabric that was much stretchier and was able to give, so I could actually be as, you know, flexible and rubber bandy as I possibly could.
And that also made it easier probably for everyone in that beautiful town.
Oh, it took costs down immediately. I mean, it was like they didn't have to make these billion suits anymore. There's just, you know, all of a sudden they had a bolt of fabric they could work with.
Sounds way better.
That's the whole thing, though. It never changes. Like I've noticed from community theater, children's theater, community theater, high school theater, college theater to professional theater, it's all trial and error. Like you get to the final preview and you're still like, try this prop. And it's just all crazy. It's all so haphazard and nuts. And then you open and then it just gets more familiar. But up until then, it's all the same shit. I mean, everything I experienced in rehearsals as a kid, through college, through Broadway, it's very similar.
So what do you think is the coolest effect you did on stage in Beetlejuice or any other show? Because there are cool effects in Beetlejuice mainly.
Oh yeah, I mean that's mainly I always tell people that show is two shows. The show is it's a magic and stunt show that's sitting right underneath a musical. So you have to keep both of those trains running at the exact same speed. For me, I'm not that type of. I don't know magic. I don't know illusion. I love it. I'm just not. It's not versed in it. So took me the longest to learn was like how to do any of these tricks. I think my favorite because it's so successful when it works was the Lydia suicide note burning. The sort
isn't it just like flash paper?
Yeah, but how do you ignite it without people knowing? Was the big yeah, it is flash paper, but where's the match? Where's the lighter? You know what I mean? And I take it from her and throw it in the air and it blows up into flames. How do we do that? Right? Because flash paper is easy to explain. but it needs something to ignite it.
That is true.
Yeah. Do you want to know?
Yes.
All right. Happy to tell you. So the mood, just so the context is, I take it like this.
Mhm.
I grab it and then I throw it in the air. And in somewhere in there,
it catches on fire.
It has to. So we had to figure that out. And what the people ended up making was a fake thumb that I could wear over my real thumb, that also integrated inside of it, where the pad of my thumb is on the fake one, was a small 2-pronged, almost taser looking thing that in the inside of the thumb was a pressure sensitive thing. So when I pressed it, it would ignite the taser. So if I grabbed her note and pressed a little bit, it would just, enough sparks would come through that thing that it would light it. Because flash papers, it's like all it takes is one spark. And I would take it, it would spark. I'd have, with flash paper, you have 0.2 seconds to let it go, which is plenty of time. And you just grab it and it starts to light and you toss it. And it became that simple. But the whole idea was, again, just like the overdressing of the suit and just like everything else, it was not about the trick. It's about hiding it until it's right. Because I had to wear that thumb on stage from the beginning of the scene. So that's on me. So I know it's there. But all you think about when you're an actor and you have it on is, oh, everyone can see it. Everyone can see it. Nobody's looking for it.
Nobody.
No, and then being able to conceal it afterwards was because I didn't want to wear it. But afterwards, the trick was over, I didn't want to have to keep wearing it. One, because it's dangerous, because I have literally a taser on my thumb, and it's hot. Like it really pressure sensitive. So I put my hand on Sophia's neck or whatever. So we needed to find a way to conceal it. So we found a way. I think when I spun around, at one point, and during that, take it off and sort of hide it, drop it in one of my pockets, and just made that routine. And so it just lived in my pocket until the prop master came to grab it at the end of the show, or at the end of the act.
I guess for the other flame technique that happens, which is Barbara's burning fingers, is like probably she just puts like her fingers in alcohol with a light.
That's a much more, that's an easier, they made this thing. This was an illusion. We had two departments, right? We had props, and we also had magic and illusion, which is like, because they were two separate things, because it's like a prop person. We had to, because it's like, we have live fire and prop people can make a prop, but they're not versed in what's going to catch on fire. How these guys know everything. They did Harry Potter. They did Big Fish. They did a lot of the big effects sort of driven stuff. All it was like basically like a little thing she wore on her, like she put it, it was attached to her middle finger, I think, as a ring, and laid flat in her hand, that she palmed it in some way during the scene. I don't remember where she gets it and when she gets it, but it opens up. It opens up in this little thing, and on it is like almost like an ink pad, like where you'd stamp an ink pad. And it's soaked in some sort of flammable thing. And in it was a small ignite, like a little wheel, like for an igniter. So when she reaches into the fire, she's back to the audience, so you can't see her. She just has to spin the wheel, and it kind of lit on fire, and she turned around. And when she needed to close it, they blow, but then the little flap that would come, that was open, she could close it, and it would get the flame gone. And then at some point when their backs were facing backstage, she would palm it. I think she either dropped it in Adam's pocket, because she didn't have pockets. But there was a moment where she loses it because they have to do the whole number. It's really interesting. I mean, it's really, those little moments have so much around them that like go into it. So like that little moment is successful, but the panic that went around, like, how do I ditch it? How do I get it? That's the real work. And
oh my God, I don't even want to think about the work that goes into making the Maitland's house into the Deeds house.
That's just labor. That's not, there's no trick there. It's just a lot of manpower very quickly, and changing out like the slots of the walls just come out and they get replaced like puzzle pieces. I love that for a set. I wish our sets would do that. We're over here like, we got to build everything separately. And I'm over here like, why? Well, that was the workaround. They were like, are we going to have 3 separate houses? Is it going to be more abstract? But they're like, we wanted the set to feel very closed in, like a house. So how do we change it? And David Corins just found this incredible way to like magnetize most of those sets. And so all those things were all these huge super magnets. So once they slide them in, put them in the set, they just stuck there. Again, it's amazing what you can do with an incredible budget, Shit you can do when you have money. Exactly. But like, that's the easiest workarounds are because you have money.
We'll get there eventually. I
Yeah.
gotta start at the amateur level before I
Well,
get anywhere near your level.
absolutely 100%. David Corins, Pete Serafin, all these guys started with small soda cans.
That is actually super comforting.
It's
And
true.
I saw an article on William Ivy Long today. Things are not going great for him.
Oh, something came out today?
Yeah.
Oy vey. Yeah, that's been a whole thing.
But I'm like, positions gonna open for Broadway costume design.
There's always going to be positions, so you're going to be just fine. You already have all the stuff that you need, and I'm not saying this as an encouragement or even positive thinking thing. It's just that you have all the bolts and pieces to make a great designer. I think that you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think it's more like IKEA stuff right now. So I'm like, direction.
Yeah.
So we'll get there, but we got to figure out how to read these Swedish directions.
You got to get there. That's it. I mean, nobody just arrives. Nobody is just apparates and is in a rehearsal room. You have to get there, and that goes for everybody. No one is born. Some people are born, but they're not as interesting into great success. But I find the more interesting people are the ones that got themselves there.
I mean, no one would think a girl that's middle class from Las Vegas would be costume designing, or at least costume designing shows where people aren't fully naked.
Sure.
Because I could go design on the Strip for the showgirls.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. But you know what you want to do. You have a point of view and you want to get it out there. I think that's what I mean when I say I think you have the bolts and pieces to be a great designer, is that you're not looking for like, what's my next gig? It's like, I have a point of view. I want to get out there in some way, and I want to do that through the medium I know well. That's what we all do. That's what we all, meaning like people that work hard and want to do this thing. That's where we're coming from. I have something to say.
It's like, there's such weird things. Like before COVID happened, like I was planning to go, I talked with someone, they knew connections to someone in a little shop.
Yep.
I could have, who worked wardrobe, and I was like, cool. And they were going to get me in. And then, COVID happened. So
have I told you already about what you should do when you come to New York? Did I tell you what you should and absolutely do for sure? You should, if you have a resume, which I'm sure you do. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Update the resume, whatever you need to refresh your resume, have it there, look up what good resumes look like and things like that, and make it look like that, professional and all that stuff. When you get to New York, when you're here, because Broadway is open and off Broadway is open, there are shows happening. You need to take a stack of those resumes and you should go around to the stage doors of those theaters, wear your mask, and say, I'm dropping this off for the wardrobe department. I'm just seeing if there's any jobs, whatever. That's literally how some of my friends have gotten jobs in shows.
Because like I'm not beneath doing that. First of all,
it's not a beneath thing at all. That's literally how some of my friends have started working, consistently. That's literally how they did it. It's not a beneath thing at all. That's how people will get jobs.
And like, I'll be done with Percy Jackson at that time. So I'll be like, cool, I did my thing. If I take the year off and I work here instead, I'm not going to be mad.
No, and I think a lot of these, because I know them very well, they are designers. They've designed in the past, and what they do for a living, because they've dropped this off and they are in this world, they either costume in the show for a little bit or they do whatever while they're learning in a real environment how to do it. So they're not going to like hire you as a designer, but they would hire you into the building and you get a chance to like meet a ton of people and make a ton of connections.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I meant more like take a break here, come back, graduate.
Sure.
I'm not working, but also we've done Zoom University, for 2 years now? So like, I can make my freshers work.
Here's what I guess what I'm saying is this: there's no downside for you dropping off your resume, because if the worst that can happen is nothing and you go back to school or whatever you do, and then you try it again the next time, the best that can happen is somebody calls you and goes, hey, we actually need a sub dresser for the next couple months. You around?
And I'll be like, I'll make myself around.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Is like, I'm telling you, I'm not telling you this as some sort of hopeful story. I know 5 people I can name right now that did exactly that thing for numerous jobs. Not just like, an assistant stage manager, an intern, like people just, there's no real classy way into that. You just have to kind of drop your shit off and go, hey, I'm available and I'm good. And if you need me, there's my number. Give me a call. Have your email on there. Like, that's literally how it happens.
I will do that. I
You
will
should.
take that.
I'm telling you, you should. You won't regret it, because you, at the very least, you'll get a phone call from somebody, and if you don't, it just means that they're full up, and but they'll keep your thing. They're not going to throw it away.
The more you know.
Yeah, but it's helpful. I think it's nice to know, because I think a lot of people think that's not how it happens. It's kind of the only way it happens.
Because I mean, everyone at my school is getting internships at these local theaters or whatever. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
No, it's great.
It's an absolutely great thing. I'm not
Yep.
saying, but like, if I was going to go on leave or do a internship kind of schooling, like, I would want it to be on the professional end as opposed to the amateur.
Absolutely. I think that's great. I think that that's your prerogative, and that is your choice. I think that is excellent. I think knowing what you want to do is good. What?
That just, like, my heart.
It's good. It is. It's just realistic. It's like, you need to be able, you don't need to, first of all, there's no harm in trying anything. So go out and see, who knows? I mean, you come to New York, you drop off your resume, in 2 weeks, you might be working at fucking Wicked. You don't know. You have no idea. They might need somebody, and you're there. All of a sudden, it's literally, that's how it happens.
What are your skills? My skills are undressing people like a horny teenager.
Well, that's literally what it requires. My old dresser from Wicked, whose name is Terry, she's one of my favorite people in the world. She dressed me for 2 years there. It's the longest I've ever been dressed by anybody in one time, other than School of Rock and Beetlejuice. I hired the same dresser. His name is Keith, who's one of my favorite people ever. These two people have dressed all sorts of incredible people and stuff like that, and they're amazing at their job. Terry, my old dresser, is in the middle of writing a book called People I've Seen Naked and Other Stories from Backstage. Which is great. I mean, but it's like, you fit the right attitude to work in this business. Like, you don't take things all that too seriously. You're fun, you're interesting. You know that you're good at what you do. You just need someone else to see it. That's
why we had to quit the job, Spirit.
Yeah, but you have to get people. That's why I really encourage people like you to go drop off that resume, because it's going to take off fast. If it takes off, it'll just happen, and it'll be like, when can you start? And you have to have an answer. I
mean, it's like, I can be back in New York in a month or less. Finds place to live on Airbnb until I can find an apartment.
Exactly. But like, that's what it takes. And if you're the one and you're around, you have the job, and then you just have a job.
And I think what I'm also excited about with my new job is it's at a theater. So we have touring shows come in for like a day or two, and they don't bring dressers with them.
Right. They have locals, right? They do a lot of the people come in for the week of performances, right?
So that's an easy way to get experience. If, oh shit, we're gonna have a show tonight and we don't have enough people hired to work backstage.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. That's how people, literally, you're describing how most of my friends that work in that side of the industry got jobs. They just, by tenacity and being around, being available. Not everybody I know is even that good at it. It's like, they're just like, they learned quickly and they wanted to be in the building, so they were.
I love how the knowing where I'm going is really the helpful part of here, and just forcing myself in the room where it happens.
Yeah, but Hamilton. Yes, but there's a balance there, right? The one thing I will say is the balance is confidence is excellent when it is backed up by work. So knowing what you want and being where you want is great, and then you back it up with work. Confidence with zero backup is cockiness, right? And that can come off really easily. It can be very easily not discernible, right? Because people are like, I'm really good at what I do. And it's like, okay, why don't you just do the thing that you're good at rather than telling people? Your resume should be enough. And then you get the job, and you just be kind and work hard. And then that's all you need.
If you're telling people, you're obviously just blowing smoke at your ass, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people that are really, they've managed a way to make that feel palatable. I tell people, I've gotten comfortable at this point, when people just to make a point, right? It's like, I know that I'm talented. Like, I think that I'm talented but like, I also know that being talented requires work all the time. So I need to do that all the time. If I'm gonna proclaim that I believe that I'm talented, which I don't do a lot, I need to back that up, or stop saying it, or let other people say it, or just whatever. But like, it all is backed up by what you do, and not what you've done, what you're doing. Because that's the big difference. I've worked on 50 shows. Okay, well, that was 2 years ago. How you doing now? Right? That's why I like this industry, because for me, for what I do and for what a lot of us do, we do spec work basically, which is, the spec work for an actor is an audition. The spec work for a designer is show me your portfolio, show me your whatever, design a look for me, and I'll decide whether we are all auditioning. But the business that we're in requires us to continue to audition all the fucking time.
However, I will give you credit and say your auditions are way scarier than my auditions could ever be.
That's true. Although I really like auditioning. So it's really, for me, I'm actually not really in that camp. I really enjoy auditioning.
Maybe I think that's why I left acting also, because like I didn't do it. I left because I'm not what Broadway would deem like pretty enough, skinny enough, talented enough in that category.
That's subjective, but I understand what you mean.
And then I don't want to wear high heels all the time. I tried one day to wear high heels and it went horribly wrong for me.
Neither do I. That's why I don't do it. I don't want to wear high heels.
Don't get cast in any drag shows.
I don't plan on it. I don't think I'd make a really delicious drag woman. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know for sure. The beard is a selling point for me.
And then all the anxiety that came with just like trying to do these high school auditions when, everyone in the room hates you.
Well, you think so. They don't hate you, but they just are. They don't get you. They don't this. Very, very rarely do people, capital H, hate you.
Okay, they did not like me and saw me as a threat because I managed to get some leading male roles.
There you go. Well, that's different than hating you. That's being jealous and not knowing what to do with that jealousy because it's high school and nobody knows anything.
Yeah.
Everybody is scared in high school. Everybody.
Yes, because you're expected to know what you're doing at the ripe old age of, in my case, 17.
Well, that is the age where you know the least. Is that because you have the confidence of an adult and you're still a child, which is the craziest combination in the world. That's why high school is always insane and high stakes for people, because you think like an adult, but you're not one. And so that's a really weird time. So everyone is scared. I've been there. It happens a lot in life after that too. But for high school's 4 years of just intense pressure and stakes. And so it's easy to think that these people are resentful of you when really they're just jealous. They don't know how to express it. And it's easy to express it in a negative way. It's much harder to go, hey, you're really good. Like, what are you like? Why are you so good? Like, help me. Like, that's really vulnerable to do. It's much easier to go, oh, fuck her,
Fuck her.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think it is easier. It's so much easier to just go like, well, they probably have an aunt or uncle that made them it's so much easier to do that than it is to go, God, they're really talented. I'm jealous.
I mean, not gonna lie, I did the same thing, but I did that to all the girls that got the leads I wanted because I always got the male leads.
Everyone does it. Every single person on the planet has done that. And if they say that, oh, I was never that way, they're lying. They never went to high school, or they were privileged enough to skip right past that part, because that's it. If you went to high school, you were a mess. Nobody survived high school every day. There's no way. It's not possible. We don't have enough information. We don't have enough life experience. We walk into a zoo and we're all caged animals and nobody knows how to interact with anybody yet. So you can only imagine when it comes to like competition, forget about it. What does that even mean?
Yeah. And you gotta think, this was a new magnet school. So a new theater magnet school. So if we're all the first year kids of this new program. So of course we're all eating each other's throats for dominance.
Sure.
And like, I'm having a grand old time because like I was homeschooled for 3 years in a row.
Yeah. You're just happy to see people.
And I'm like, holy shit, this is what it's like being in the lion's den.
It is. Thankfully, it gets easier. I mean, I find that, for the most part, like when everyone starts to grow up at the same rate, you hope, and usually you usually is true, that when you get to things like doing professional and community theater, those people still exist, but they're really outnumbered. Like they're not really, there's never really a big majority of like humongous cliques of jerks. There's not.
That's good to know, because you want to know the dumbest thing in my high school theater?
Sure.
We were doing Wait Until Dark. You know Wait Until Dark?
Love Wait Until Dark.
So we had matches, obviously. Mr. Dumbass, one of the robbers,
Uh-huh.
was lighting gummy bears on fire by a wall that was like literally fabric.
Right, sure.
No one told this dumbass that gummy bears do not catch fire.
Fabric does.
Yes. And we were going to have a hot mess if that happened.
Yeah, but I mean, think about like that person, I can't imagine is going to make a career out of that. You know what I mean? Like this is a person.
No, he went to something scarier.
What?
Going to be an airline pilot.
Well, but perhaps
that's what makes drive a car.
But perhaps this is what makes him focus. You know, you can't. My thing is, I'm always open to the idea that somebody who lights gummy bears on fire doesn't have any wherewithal to that. Perhaps when he's in a cockpit of a plane, that is when he is at his most focused and he's most feeling full. I have to believe in that. You know what I mean? Because I do not believe that people are here by mistake. You know what I mean? I honestly don't believe that.
I would think he needs an airline job on the ground, not in the sky when he can't drive a car.
My friend Andrew has flown planes.
I love how that's the same thing in common with mine. My dumbass is Andrew.
So, but my friend, one of my best friends, is named Andrew, and he got his pilot flights or whatever. But it wasn't part. He's an actor. It's not part of his life. It's not part of his path. But he does it. So I have to believe that other people are able to do that too, if it's not their main thing. Now he sounds like an idiot, but in every single profession, there are idiots who are still okay at their job.
I mean, we were talking about, we had a sound designer from Hamilton come to our school. And she's like, oh my God, when we have the men doing like rigging up all the mics and stuff, they're so stupid because they'll like take the whole thing apart, put it back together instead of like troubleshooting one thing at a time.
Yep.
So you can tell they're men that never read the instructions.
Yeah, well, there's always bravado and you know the male psyche and all that kind of stuff is all that doesn't go away in any job.
So what's your
who talked to? Was it I'm trying to think who's the sound. Was it Peter Hylinski?
No, this was she wasn't like sound designer, she was like sound audio person that make thing work.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. I don't know. I either know or I don't, but I don't know.
Designer, but like the person to make it run every night.
The person that runs the board? I
believe so.
That's cool. I don't know who that is at Hamilton, but
yeah, she left. She goes and teaches at DePaul, and she came down here because she's doing sound for our show of Leading.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Excellent.
Which is kind of nice because I'm like, yay, I get some DePaul education despite never getting into DePaul because I really want to go to DePaul, and DePaul went.
I think one thing I would love to change about you is to think that just because something doesn't go your way, it's not them doing this.
I will try harder.
It's good to think about.
I got on the waiting list, and then I was like,
yeah,
I was good enough, but I wasn't the top choice of good enough.
Well, again, it's not them saying fuck you, you know, is what I'm saying, is that there's a difference between them not choosing you and them saying get the fuck out of here. It's different. And what I don't want from you, because of how talented you are, is to start way too early to resent certain parts of this business, because it's super easy to do. And especially if you're coming at things and you have a dark, you know, like I do, like a sarcastic, sardonic, you know, darker version of things. It's nice to be that person because it makes you fully who you are or whatever, but to understand deep in your heart that maybe some of that is your persona, and you have to know that like most people around you are not out to get you.
I think it's just because it was like pre even adult Sky, like this was like 16, 17-year-old.
Vulnerable
like,
Sky.
Yeah, and like also like she was like, do you want to see the a costume storage? And I was like, every part of me wants to, but I know if this doesn't work out, I don't want to like see it and then fall in love with it and not get accepted.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I know myself, if I see too many costumes that are super nice quality in one area, I'm gonna be home.
Yeah, bring me there. But
It's
that home exists in a lot of different places, and I'm excited for you to find out where.
I'm very excited to one day see where all the Broadway costumes will go when they're retired.
I don't even think I know about like where that is. I don't know where that is.
A giant costume house in New York or New Jersey, one of the two.
Yeah, I think it's upstate New York. I think you're right. Because I think a lot of the sets also, there's like two warehouses for sets, like one in Brooklyn and one I think is in, I can't remember, upstate New York somewhere, but they all have to go somewhere.
They go somewhere because no one wants to destroy them.
I know that Wicked has one in Manhattan. They have a big storage house in Manhattan for costumes because they need to keep them close because there's so much turnaround. Because I went there, I remember going there to like try on the Tin Man outfit because they had like a bunch of ones they've made before, and they wanted to see if I fit anybody's from before, which just makes sense because it's just the extra. You know, they didn't spend the money on making another one. So I've been there. I know I've seen the racks and racks and racks of clothing, but that's only for Wicked. That was an entire warehouse.
So what's the best part and worst part of being a Broadway actor? And I'm hoping worst part is like not me. I'm not trying to come off like a Gabe in Law and Order.
No, you're not the word. No, you're not even close. You're not. I wouldn't even say you're even on the side of that spectrum. No, most people I've come across are relatively friendly. I have no ill will really towards a ton of people that want to hang out with me. I have zero feelings of you that aren't warm. How about that? The best part, there's a lot of best parts, to be honest. So it's hard to like determine what's like the actual best part. The best part for me, when it's not COVID, because like, you know, it's a different answer now because I don't have a show at this moment. But when I'm in a show on Broadway and I get to do something 8 times a week, and if it's something I love, which typically it is, I know that no matter what's going on in my day, at around 5, it's all going to change. At around 5, I get to go pack up and go down 20 blocks from where I live and go have a shitload of fun with a bunch of people that I love. That is an insane feeling. And that doesn't ever go away. You might even feel like you don't want to do the show that day, which is totally normal because you do the show so many times. But then you get there, you're like, what am I complaining about? Like this, you get on stage and you're like, wait, I was complaining about being tired to be funny in front of 1,200 people and get a ton of applause. Like how selfish. So that's for me, that's the best part is that I get to do this thing that I love and I would do for free. Like I had done for free forever and never, ever, ever once thought to myself, boy, this would be better if I got paid. I've never thought that. But, and now you get paid and you're like, Jesus, like I never want this to end. It's like, how could it get better? The worst is, let's try to think because there's not too many downsides to, because you asked specifically for Broadway. So I'm trying to think like, what's the worst part about, it's sometimes you come across people that are not in this for the right reasons, like they're just good at their job, but they're like not really passionate about it. And that's tough because that's nothing I can fix. Like I always am able to, if somebody is just it's not going their way or they're like not landing a joke and they come to me for advice, like I'm able to sort of work it out with them. That's fine because that's just being good at your job. But if somebody's just on stage and they look sort of like they've left for the day already, that's real. And I've experienced that in a lot of different shows with different people. They don't tend to work a ton, but when they do, it's really disappointing because you're on stage and all you want to do is have a connection. And you see this person sort of like running through their grocery list on stage. And the really shitty part about that is the audience doesn't know that. The audience is thinking they're giving a great performance. And you can't, it's reckoning that like personal thing where you want to go up to them and go, hey, could you care more? But that's an insane thing to tell somebody. So it's that thing where I've had to like really kind of try to let that go, unless it like really directly affects what's going on stage. I have to sort of let the idea go that not everybody's going to be as obsessively, in love with this that I am. That's okay. I have to be okay with that, but it's hard. It is a definite like day to day, depending on the person. You're like, I want you to care like I care.
I feel that 100% because like I got Pugsley and that was my favorite role I've ever played in high school. And I'm like, Wednesday, could you care for like 5 fucking seconds?
Yeah, and the answer is no. I mean, they can't. I mean, maybe, but they don't want to, and it's really not your job to make them. Like that was the biggest struggle I had, and that started in Wicked because I was in that show long enough that the turnover was such that there were people that came back to the show and they didn't want to, but they wanted to pay a rent and whatever. And you know all of that, but that sucks because you know it. If I didn't know any of that, I wouldn't care. That's why the audience doesn't care. They don't know what this person is doing and going through. They're just entertained. So it's like, it's like working in an office. You have people that you're annoyed by, you have people that you wish did their job a little better, but it really comes down to like, you can't care about everybody that way because then you're not caring about yourself and you're not taking care of yourself. So I've tried to learn over the last 10 years to like really sort of keep a big percentage of what I do about survival, about being good for myself and feeling nice and not trying to help every single person be better at their thing.
I mean, my therapist, aside from probably wanting to hit me with a Nerf gun every time I say, well, I was kind of a bit, I think she wants to hit me with a Nerf gun.
Yeah.
But I tell her, I'm like, there's like 12-year-old Sky and there's 16-year-old Sky, and 16-year-old Sky is kind of parenting this like isolated 12-year-old.
Great.
It's like, you cannot do that. Okay.
That's a great revelation
at some point and be like, 16-year-old, you need to take your medicine, watch your sister, and go take a shower. Oh, and do your homework.
Yeah. I think that's a great breakthrough though. I do. I mean, I think that's like the kind of stuff that when you say it out loud, you go, boy, that feels right. And then it's about execution. It's about how you like really the thought is one thing that can make you feel. I know in therapy, whenever I say something that feels right, or he says something that feels right, I always feel it. Like, I know it's right. Oh, wow. Cause like you feel it in your whole body. Whoa, that really resonates with me. And that's good, but it's not enough. It's like you understand something about yourself and go, okay, I need to continue kind of like vibrating whatever this is, because this is going to help me in some way. I don't know what yet, but something about this has unlocked something that I need to keep investigating. And that helped me a ton. I don't know where the fuck I would be without therapy.
Words of advice from my therapist, because get Orbeez, but don't get them on Amazon, because mine came open and I was very sad when I had 50,000 beads in the package.
Well, I don't even know what you're talking about, but
Orbeez? Have you ever seen Orbeez? The best stress boy I've ever got. They're water balls.
They're not. Oh, I thought they were marbles. What are the?
They're squishy marbles. Squishy marble.
Filled with water.
But they're like super relaxing.
Oh, that's fun. I love that. I have to find better ways to relax. That's my new big challenge.
Well, because again, I'm like a 5-year-old on the inside who's doing adult things.
Yep.
It's a lot of water balls and slime.
Oh, I've seen that, like a TikTok thing.
Yeah. No, I do not mean slime tutorials.
Right. No, I did. Yes, I understand. We had a, I told the, oh shit, I have to go in like 6 minutes. What was I going to say? Oh, slime tutorials. We had an idea for during Beetlejuice, because am I freezing? Are you freezing? Are you good?
I'm just really still.
Okay, cool. We had this idea to film, because there were so many bootleg conversations going on, to film. What would end up happening is you'd go on YouTube and you'd see Beetlejuice slime tutorial, and then it would be actually me doing an actual slime tutorial. Hey guys, it's Alex. I'm just going to tell you how to make the slime, and like really, and make everybody mad, like make everybody sort of betrayed by this idea that they were like, oh my god, it's a high definition slime tutorial, and it's just me going like, yeah. Then you add the powder and then the water, and then what did you guys think this was going to be?
That would be funny as shit.
Well, we still might do it because we're coming back. We still might do the that kind of stuff. We had a ton of stuff like in the can, like ready to like try and do, and so much more content that we wanted to put out there, but we just couldn't do it because the show ended. But not anymore.
I love that though. You're gonna hate my college, but I kind of love it. Kind of love it. We have a whole library of bootlegs. Like, you walk into this one room, and there's a wall of cast albums from every musical you can think of, from every country you can think of.
It's incredible.
And then you walk just a little, like 2 shelves down, and there's just all these bootlegs from wherever uploaded onto DVDs that you can watch.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where over the last couple of years, I've had to just sort of go, there's no stopping them. So what am I going to do? All I know is that when people see one, they're not seeing the show. They're seeing something, but they're not seeing the show we made.
Look, it's good for like the memory. It's not good for like, it's not going to replace the being there in the room.
No, everything in your mind is much better if you can just have it for the day you did it and then go remember it in the way you remember it. And I think if you're watching the DVD back and forth, you go, oh, that part wasn't as good as I remember. And neither was that part. And you start all of a sudden weirdly analyzing, which is like art's not meant to be art, musical theater, especially theater is meant to be experienced in the moment. And you're supposed to have whatever feelings you're having in those moments and then go away.
Like with my show, like it's never gonna be as good online as it was in person because like I had to be in the room. But like the sound effect, there was this like white noise humming, like it just overcame you. It made the whole room kind of like vibrate, and like you don't get that feeling in the video.
No, you don't at all, ever. It's not a thing. I mean, it's just it's live theater is meant to be experienced live. It's like it's so funny that it's like funny how many conversations I've had with people regarding like bootlegs, and I've been on the same side of the argument the entire time, but I've talked to people who are really, really, really vehemently for bootlegs, and that's fine. I don't mind having a conversation with them, but it is so interesting that you can't just say like it's live theater. Live is in the thing. So like it's, yes, I understand that like you live in whatever and you can't go see a thing and whatever. I get all that. I totally understand that. Like the reasons people see bootlegs because they can't or they can't afford it. I get it completely. But it's not the same. And most people have a hard time acknowledging. They go, it's similar. I go, it's not. It's not even close, by the way. It's not even close to close.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. Also, I don't know what they paid you to do Fizzaroli for this last episode, but they did not pay you enough.
They don't pay any voice actors anything, nearly enough of what voice acting doesn't get paid a lot, even on scale. But I loved it. I would do, again, that's a show that I would do for pennies. That I have a great time recording that show.
You're gonna be so many TikTok sounds. So many people are gonna use that Fizzaroli thing for TikTok sounds.
Well, there's more. There's a lot more coming in season 2. There's a lot more, and it's really good.
Like, I wasn't sure if it was better that we finally got to see the non-Robo Fizz, and the non-Robo Fizz is absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you sat around doing trumpet noises and then went trumpet and went back to trumpet noises.
Yeah. That came out of pure improv. I mean, it was the idea of just being like, well, I'm gonna screw. We always get the takes that we need, and then we just do like every once in a while we'll do a fun one just for us, and sometimes that stuff is low pressure. So you just like create stuff and they go, oh, that was good. Okay, we'll use that. Because they take everything, you record 4 to 8 versions of the same line all the time. So they have a bank of these lines that they need to play with, and they just find out whatever works for the moment. But I think as far as Fizz goes, like I think it's all real Fizz from now on. I think Robo Fizz is not in the picture, at least as far as I remember, but we recorded this like forever ago.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's like the episodes you're going to see that are coming up, the part 2 of the finale, which I'm not 100% sure I'm in. I don't remember if I'm in part 2 of the finale or not. I think I'm not.
I'm just mad that it's a 2-parter because like I was watching it on Halloween in my Beetlejuice get up because like I got back from getting candy because I look like a 12-year-old when I'm in that get up.
Nice.
I milk it when I can.
Yeah.
But I come home and I'm sitting there with my friend. We're watching it because I'm like, I'm not going to watch it until you and I are in the same room. And we get to the end and I just take the pillow off the couch and I chuck it like into the kitchen. So I'm so pissed.
Yeah. It left it was a pretty unfair cliffhanger, but that was the whole point. It's great. And it's like Vivian has figured it out so crazily. It's like the turns it's about to take are like so worth the wait.
It better be, because goddamn, that poor pillow got yeeted.
They are. It's worth the yeeting. I tell you. I have to run because I have another thing in 10 minutes, and I could talk to you forever. I have such a good time talking to you, and happy birthday. Happy.
Thank you.
I don't know how to do this. Wait, there we go. It's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I hope that you have a fantastic birthday. And I hope that when you come to New York, you do drop off the resumes. I'm telling you, you have to.
I promise you, Alex. I promise you, I will go to the Beetlejuice store and I'll be like, here is my resume. Can you please give it to the wardrobe department?
Alex told me to do it. I'm more than happy to. Alex told me to drop this off. If I'm there. I don't know if I will be there. We'll see.
I'm willing to bet. I have a good vibe. I feel the vibe. Probably.
It's all looking very positive is what I can say officially is looking very positive that I will be there, but it's not official. So until it's official, I appreciate the vibes
for you.
Much appreciated. And I hope the rest of your day is full of good stuff.
Thank you, Alex. I hope you have a nice day. Pet Kevin.
Yes, I will. I will indeed pet Kevin. And until then, my love to you and yours. And I hope that everything is great.
You too. Bye, Alex.
Bye, Sky. Take care.
Love you in a not creepy way.